Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the March 25th, 2026 meeting of the Fond du Lac City Council. The first item of business is roll call, which is done electronically, and I will declare a quorum present with us all here. The next item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, which is followed by a moment of silent reflection. Please rise. Next on our agenda is a salute to excellence, which will be presented by our city manager, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. I thought it would be appropriate since in the last month there have been
Joe.
three significant.
Well, you got it for the stream, Joe. There's billions.
The live stream, that's right. Thank you. I thought it would be appropriate because over the last month there have been three significant accomplishments that have been recognized by agencies and national groups far, far away who've looked at our organization in three different ways and concluded that they have rated them excellently. The first one I want to read is an excerpt from a letter that was sent to Tricia and me. I'm not going to read the whole letter because there's two sentences that will pretty much give you the flavor. It says, "We are pleased to notify you that your annual comprehensive financial report qualifies for the Government Finance Officers Association's Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting." And this sentence is the real important one. "The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management." So Tricia, would you come up here? I'm going to give you the microphone because I know you've got a lot of great people that work for you, and I'm sure the council would love to hear how you're celebrating having received that yet again.
So thank you. This is our 30th year of receiving this award. I've been here for 29 of these years, so the commitment to this is deeply ingrained in the Comptroller's Department. You know, it's what we live and breathe every day. But we can't do it without the support of the City Council, the City Manager, department heads, division heads, all city employees, and especially the Comptroller's team. That, you know, we need everyone's support and encouragement and help with this. So this is a big thank you to not only my department, but to everybody for the support. So thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. So you noticed that 2 weeks ago, Chief Garretson and I were absent. You may have thought we were out goofing off, and we were, but we did take a moment in attendance to it's a worldwide conference that convenes once a year, the Commission on Fire Accreditation International. Firefighters, rescue experts convene from literally around the world, and many of the international ones are from the DoD because we have fire departments and rescue operations around the world. And they have accreditation standards that apply worldwide uniformly. It is up to an agency to volunteer to strive for accreditation, and our fire rescue department has done that. This is what was presented to Chief Garretson and his team 2 weeks ago after an appearance before the jury, essentially, of the board. They had to make the final decision. So Chief, would you come up here? I'd like to give you the chance to share a few thoughts with the council and the public because this signifies quite an accomplishment for you and the department as well as the city of Fond du Lac.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I'd like to just share a few thoughts on the accreditation process. So, Fire Rescue takes tremendous pride in delivering the highest level of public service to our community. As we have progressed through this third 5-year cycle of accreditation, we recognize that this is not simply a reaffirmation of our past work, but an opportunity to continue elevating our organization. Each cycle challenges us to examine who we are, how we serve, and where we can improve. Through that reflection, we consistently uncover new and innovative ways to enhance service delivery to our citizens we are entrusted to protect. Additionally, accreditation represents far more than just a benchmark for Fond du Lac Fire Rescue. It signifies accountability to our community, a steadfast commitment to continuous improvement, and validation of professionalism and dedication of our members that demonstrate that each and every day. It reinforces transparency in our operations and ensures that we remain aligned with best practices in the fire service. Lastly, accreditation has provided us with a structured framework to make informed strategic decisions that maximize the value to our community. I'd also like to thank the accreditation team, our command staff, the entire department for taking on this task. Also, Joe Moore and his administration, Tricia Davey, Water Department, Communications, HR, Legal, they all have a piece of this. It's not just our department. Everybody has a piece in this award. So thank you very much. Thank you for the council for entrusting the finances and the trust in our department as well. This award is for everybody. So thank you very much.
One thing that was interesting down there is there was a giant foam poster board outside the hearing room, and when we walked over to it, it was noteworthy to think we have fire departments literally around the world, and on that board that day, there were like 15 hearings. That's how elite this is that Eric was just describing. Speaking of elite, lastly, I want to talk about our police department and the accreditation it just received from the Wisconsin Law Enforcement Accreditation Group. This is really, to me, special to call on Chief Goldstein to talk about this because Chief Goldstein was the first accreditation manager in the police department. So he was the one on day one, after the police department made the commitment to pursue accreditation, not being accredited, that he started personally putting together the plan to execute the vision to become accredited. And that was a significant undertaking. Chief, wouldn't you agree? So we went to WILEAG, the Wisconsin Law Enforcement Accreditation Group. Same thing, had a hearing in front of the group of board members. They voted unanimously to approve our department for accreditation. And one thing that was very interesting, and Chief, I'd like you to mention something about this, is they all talked about the high standards, the elite standards that they saw in our police department. They had no questions at all about this accreditation. So with that, Chief Goldstein, I'd like you to come forward because this says a lot about what your department does for our community.
Thanks, Mr. Moore. And obviously, Ms. Davey and Chief Garrison shared a lot about what accreditation is. You know, for us, it allows us to provide best practices to our community. Really look forward to, so our current accreditation manager is Captain Hahn. We're going into our 4th cycle. We actually met within the last week here a couple times. I look forward to those meetings that go on the calendar, and we look at every single policy and how we police this community. And it really started, Joe said it started in 2016 when we went to the community and we asked, how would you like to be policed? And we built that with best practices in mind. So what I'll leave you with, and I think you've heard it a few times, is we're in rare company. You know, when you look at our fire rescue and police, we are only one of 2 communities in the state of Wisconsin that has an accredited fire and accredited police. That tells you a lot about what we're doing here, and we couldn't do it without all of you, so thank you.
Thanks, Chief. So, Ms. Brault, thank you for giving us a few minutes. I think, you know, in modern life, it's easy to be negative. We hear negativity a lot. But I wanted to take just a minute to highlight these positives, right? And I think you'd all agree that it's wonderful that we can fund them. It's wonderful that we can support them. And then thanks to them for being able to execute, right, to such a high level. So thank you again for the time.
And thank you, Mr. Moore, for making sure that we recognize this excellent work. I see Mr. Mullen would like to make a comment, and I'll open it up to other council members if anybody else does as well.
Yes, I would just like to say, as a member of the city council, what an honor and a pleasure it has been to work with such an excellent team. Not only the chiefs and Ms. Davy tonight, but our Public Works Department. We're going to talk about stormwater, and we have, an outstanding award-winning wastewater facility. It's just from top to bottom. People don't like government. They say it's bad. They think we're lazy and corrupt. And, the fact is, every corner you look in this city, there's excellence. And I just want to thank you all.
Thank you. I couldn't have said that better. Yeah, it just, you all do such excellent work that it makes our job so much easier, and it just really makes us feel good about representing this community because there's so much great work happening. So thank you again, Mr. Moore, for making sure that we recognize these amazing achievements. Thank you. All right, next we will move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda finalizes the proposed actions for the meeting, A, list of claims dated March 17th, 2026, and B, March 11th, 2026 minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. We have a motion by Mr. Godfrey and a second by Mr. Heisler. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. All right, and that passes unanimously. Next, we will move on to audience comments. Agenda and non-agenda items. The presiding officer will limit speaking time for non-agenda items to 1 minute and items noticed on the agenda to 5 minutes. Ms. Hefter, do we have anyone wishing to speak? Okay. All right, so we have Catherine Schmitz, who wishes to speak on a non-agenda item, parking issue at Portland Square Apartments. So Ms. Schmitz, if you'd like to step up to the podium, we'll give you a minute to speak to us.
To put it straight, our parking lot has 21 parking spaces. We have actually 74 apartments. Obviously, not everybody has a vehicle. But even as my neighbor, she had to park, because we had nowhere to park, she had to park in the public lot and got a ticket. So what we want to know, we have a petition. I didn't get many signatures because we just started this last night. So I did get 26, excuse me. And what we're proposing is maybe if our vehicle has the ACC sticker on it, if we could park in the city lot without getting a ticket and without having to pay to get the parking permit. That's what we want to know. I mean, that's just, I can give you my petition. It's all right there a lot better, but that's pretty much what we are asking for.
All right, and thank you. Because this is a non-agenda item, we can't discuss it, but feel free to reach out to the Mr. Moore said if you would like to call the city manager's office, or otherwise you can send things to city council as well.
We did that, and I was working with a Mr. Dean, and then he was no longer there anymore. And
Okay.
we were told this is the best way to go about it now because there's nobody there.
All right, well, thank you for bringing this to our attention, and please continue to communicate with us, but I'm afraid we can't discuss it at our meeting
Nope, that's
tonight,
fine.
so-
Who would I give this to? Because I can get another copy off my computer.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me bring that up.
Mhm.
You guys have a great night.
All right, thank you. All right, and with that, that ends our audience comments. So we'll move on to our action items. Action item A is change of agent for Class A intoxicating liquor and Class A fermented malt license. Entity GPM Southeast LLC. Agent name Daniel Salaja. Doing business as R Store. Location 1304 County Road V. With our introduction by our City Clerk, Ms. Hefter.
Thank you, President Brault. This is a standard agent change for our store's location at 1304 County Road V for their Class A license. Background checks were done on the proposed agent, and city staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Hefter? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. We have a motion by Mr. Schisler and a second by Mr. Heisler. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Item B is Class B fermented malt license. Entity Fond du Lac Softball. Agent Marie Schumacher. Address Lakeside Park Baseball Island. Again, our introduction is by our City Clerk, Ms. Hefter.
Thank you again. Fond du Lac Softball is applying for their annual 6-month beer license for the concession stand in Lakeside Park on Baseball Island. Background checks were done on the new officer, and city staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Hefter? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. We have a motion by Mr. Mullen and a second by Mr. Godfrey. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Item C is resolution number 9229, a resolution making reappointment to the Board of Review. Our introduction is by our city manager, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This is a nomination for Mark Weber to be reappointed to the Board of Review. I just want to take a minute to say something about Mark. I normally don't do this, but he was on the City Council about 30 years ago, president about 30 years ago, and now, 30 years later, he's still volunteering for these boards. And this past year, the Board of Review was busier than it's been in probably 10 years because of the revaluation. And so he and the rest of the Board of Review members were incredibly important last year. And so publicly thanks to Mark and that team, but I also use that as a reason to renominate him for the great work they've done. So with that, I recommend approval.
All right, wonderful, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Moore? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. We have a motion by Mr. Heisler and a second by Mr. Mullen. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Item D is resolution number 9230, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of the working conditions agreement with the Fond du Lac City Fire Supervisory Association. Our introduction is by Mr. Chad Wade.
Good evening. So this is a resolution for approval of the working conditions agreement with your fire supervisory group. Obviously, many of the terms are explained in the memo that was included within the packet. A large portion of this was to, again, bring our supervisory group in line with changes that had been made during the bargaining process with our local union. And so I want to thank the supervisory group for working, diligently with the fire department's administration to get to this point, and we recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Wade? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Heisler, second by Mr. Godfrey. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Wade, for all the work that went into that, so thank you. All right, item E is ordinance number 3825, an ordinance amending Chapter 720, Zoning Schedule 3, Bulk Requirements, Residential Districts. Our introduction is by our Assistant City Attorney, Mr. Zordani.
Thank you, President Brault. This proposed ordinance would amend the zoning code to align the R2 district zoning for single family with the R1 single-family zoning, specifically the side yard setback. So those would both be in line. The Planning Commission and the Community Development staff both recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Zordani? Seeing none, oh, sorry, Ms. Leering?
Just explain that just a little bit more. Thank you.
Yes, so the previous side yard setback for R2 single-family dwelling was 6 feet on one side and 18 feet total. The proposed ordinance would amend that to 5 feet on one side and 14 feet in total.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mullen?
Yes, on Plan Commission, really in order to facilitate primarily infill housing in the city, we reduced lot sizes. And the side lot setback was left out of that inadvertently. So this change brings that more into line. It's not being considered in a vacuum by itself.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions from council? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. We have a motion by Mr. Mullen and a second by Mr. Heisler. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. And item F is ordinance number 3826, an ordinance rezoning northeast corner State Highway 23 and Wisconsin American Drive, FDL 151807247501, from A Agricultural District to R3 Central Area Residential District. And again, our introduction is by our Assistant City Attorney, Mr. Zordani.
Thank you again. A lot of zoning today. So this proposed ordinance would rezone, as you mentioned, the current plat from agricultural to R3. It's currently vacant. The proposal would put in 135-unit senior living community. This is the area near the intersection of Highway 151 and East Johnson, or 23. The Planning Commission supports this, and so does Community Development staff. Both recommend.
Wonderful, thank you.
Answer any other questions.
Yep, are there any questions from council? Mr. Mullen?
Yes, thank you. This project, again, it came before the Plan Commission. It is on vacant land, and it's for 135 units of senior living, all the way from independent to memory care. And one of the nice things about this and how it applies to housing in general in the city is that, as we know, we have a lot of seniors aging in place because there's no place for them to move, so they're staying in their homes. This provides a place for somebody who maybe has a house but wants to move into an apartment setting with the possibility of, in the future, going to assisted living or even memory care, and that frees up those houses for younger people. So we support this.
Wonderful, thank you for that background. This definitely seems like a very great addition to our community, something that there's a lot of need for. So with that, I don't see any other questions from council, so I will entertain a motion on the ordinance. We have a motion by Mr. Mullen and a second by Mr. Zimmerman. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please proceed to vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, with that, that ends our action items. So we will move on to the presentation of input items. And we have the annual stormwater report presented by City Engineer, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, President Brault. As attached in your council packet is the annual stormwater report. This is the draft at this time. First, I always like to thank Nick Walschmidt from our engineering staff for the hard work he does, not only preparing this report, but also overseeing your entire stormwater program here in the The permit, you are required to have per the Wisconsin DNR, and this permit is covering how you're going to deal with stormwater pollution within the city. The annual report itself, what it does is it quantifies what you've done in the past year to address the permit items and quantify the actual pollution prevention measures that you've undertaken over the last year. I'll just go over a couple of highlights of some of the items that are covered in this report. First is your construction and maintenance division always responds very diligently and effectively in removing snow within the city, and they apply the appropriate amount of salt to their endeavors because any additional salt ends up in the waters, the rivers, and the lake. Second is several times a year, the construction and maintenance staff, they go through and they run the street sweepers throughout the city, collecting this past year close to 1,200 tons of material. And then lastly, I will just point out, like, you're in your 7th year of your Adopt a Storm Drain program here in the city, which educates residents on taking measures into their own hands to keep an inlet clean of debris that would otherwise end up in, again, your rivers and lakes. It's a very effective program. So I won't go over all the specifics in the report, but if you have any questions on the report, please feel free to reach out to me, or I can answer them now.
Mhm.
If you have any questions.
All right, great. Are there any questions or comments from council on the report? I'm waiting for Mr. Mullen to hit his button. Mr. Mullen, please start us off.
Yeah, well, I love the pipes. So if it's underground, that's what, I'm all about it. I just had, I had a couple questions. I noticed in the report, we have illicit discharge. I was just wondering if you could give me an example of an illicit discharge.
Well, like last year, I'll give you one example. We had a carpet cleaning company.
Okay.
Instead of discharging their carpet water, dirty water into a sanitary sewer, it was noticed that they were dumping it into an inlet.
Okay.
So we reached out to them, let them know that they were not allowed to do that,
Yeah.
and basically requested a corrective action plan back from them to say, how are you going to not do this in the future? So that's an illicit discharge.
Okay, and this may not be the place, but, I'm all about I&I, and I just wanted to know what the, how are we doing on that?
Every year, we're making steps and strides to try to reduce I&I within the city. Usually it's through our street and utility program where we replace old sanitary sewers. We're also looking at rehabbing some sanitary sewers within the city this year to help reduce the infiltration into the sanitary sewer system.
All right, thank you.
Man, only 2 questions? That might be a record. All right, well, I am not seeing any other questions or comments from council, so I just want to thank you for presenting the report. As Mr. Mullen said earlier in the meeting, there's a lot of excellent work being done. Something that just kind of came to mind as I was looking at it was, we had a really late leaf drop this fall and then a really early snowstorm. So seeing the flexibility of the coordination to make sure that, then in the spring, once the snow melted, to try to get those leaves picked up that weren't picked up in the late last year, to try to keep those from going into the storm drains. There's a lot of things that the community can continue to do to try to help with the Adopt a Storm Drain. So I'm glad to see that that's still a priority and trying to promote that. And just thank you for all the work that goes into everything that's being done for our stormwater. So, all right, thank you. All right, with that ends our input items. So we will be adjourning to closed session to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. The subject of the closed session is 2026 City Manager Performance. This subject is exempt under Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851C. Can I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
Motion to adjourn to closed session. Second.
Motion by Mr. Zimmerman, second by Mr. Heisler. This is not debatable. Please proceed to vote. All right, and that passes unanimously. We will now adjourn to closed session.